2 years ago, we were able to bring an indigenous woman to the climate conference where the UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, are having this discussion annually on how to resolve, the climate crisis. There is somehow a gap between, understanding climate in this high level negotiation and what does that really mean in terms of the everyday life of women. And what's important is that when we do our political work, political accompaniment and movement support with women, it's understanding that issue from their lived experience, from their everyday life. That is very important when we talk about climate justice work, because we're not just talking about carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. We're not just talking about rising of temperatures and all this realities. They wouldn't talk about, melting of the glaciers when you are in Borneo. They will be talking about food. They'll be talking about health. They'll be talking about, water. And these are important pieces that we need to factor in as we understand the climate crisis in the intersectional lens. This is the same story across Southeast Asia. And often these big projects are accompanied by violence. Usually it's the men that work in this extractive projects, but when they work in this very toxic working environment, it's then it's then the women who bears the burden of the care work and not having the resources or even the decision over their land, because legally it's not in their name, and state or governments doesn't also recognize that woman as part of that community has a rightful owner. And so these layers are actually levels of power, and it's important for women to recognize these different threads, how structural power, formal powers have reinforced this. It's the question on when do you feel powerful and when do you feel powerless, and it always starts with you, with the person. And when we do that with women, a lot could come out, and those answers actually speaks a lot about power. And so but starting that power conversation from your personal experience is easier to bring it when we talk about structural violence and power over. We're challenging 100 years of value system or a culture or an ideology, and it's challenging practices, thinking, narratives, and it's embedded in people's minds and hearts. And so changing that requires time, trust building, and of course using jazz power tools and feminist movement framework, providing women the resources and capacity to be able to analyze and strategize.